Y'all gonna be on there now?
Yeah.
This is Sonny and Josh helping me here load up some more of that elm. Sonny is the one in the black. He's the one that I grew up with. Me and him are around the same age. He's actually 6 months older than I am, even though he looks younger than me. And then Josh, his brother, I think he's around 38 or so. And both of them have worked with me quite a bit. Sonny's working full time. So he every now and then will help me, and I try to help him too every now and then with things. They help me a whole lot though when they do. But me and Sonny, we've known each other since we was probably around 13 or 14 years old when we met. I'm 30 and he's 31 now, so we've known each other for quite a while. Thumbnail, you know what the thumbnail is? Or there's the boss. Look at this old car coming here. God, is that? It's an old one.
Okay, get backing up now to the wood stuff. We're here at the place now.
Behind me, is there?
Now,
Back me up to that door.
okay, back it up. Back it up, back it up, back it up.
Okay, here me and Carter are delivering some more of this elm here, and a lot of it, as you can see, is in full rounds that haven't been split yet. But she has a log splitter, so she'll be able to get that taken care of. And I remember doing this about a year or so ago over there at the same place where I got it from. A branch or something had fallen off, and Sonny asked me to help him clean it up. So I cut it up with my saw, and then he told me I could have it, so I tried to split it. And that was when I found out how horrible it was. I had no idea it was elm. I'd never split elm at that point, as far as I know. But that day when I split it, he may have even tried to do it as well. And after we seen how bad it was, I told him, I said, I'd rather not even split than do that stuff. And so I told him after that tree went, tree service, I guess, was hired to come and cut that down. And it was actually from their neighbors are the ones that hired them. I think it was an apartment building next door. As you can see here too, that I noticed that. Carter told me when he looked at the camera, I told him to check it to see if it was still on, and he said it was blurry. So what happened was a piece of grass blew in front of it, and it was focusing on that grass, and then we were kind of out of focus. But anyways, the tree service cut that tree down in the Sonny's yard where he lives. And the reason why is because it was leaning that way for one, and then the only other way it could fall really was towards an apartment building. So they asked Sonny if it was okay if they dropped it on his property, and he said that was fine. But I told him, I said, well, if it's that same kind of wood that, I tried to split last year, that's going to be very hard to split. So when I got there, I couldn't identify the tree at all. So I cut it up, and the first piece I tried to split, I instantly knew it was that wood. It was the same wood, because I've hardly ever come across any wood that's that tough. Sycamore is one, but other than that, I don't know that I've come across many more that's that bad to split. So anyways, I was able to split quite a bit, as you've seen in one of my videos. I ended up splitting, I think, that till night that day. and then I've been busy kind of ever since with different things, firewood and birthday parties and just life in general. So you can see here in the front and the foreground kind of what I've split, and she may very well split that down a little bit more. But I did get a little bit split for her. And then there's still a lot more wood left to bring over there too. The base of the tree is huge. I showed it in one of my other videos. I'm guessing at the base of that tree, that elm, it's probably 3.5 feet wide. And so I'm gonna put my 24-inch bar on my Macolo and plan to go over there, and I'll have to go from one side of the tree and then go around to the other side in order to cut it the right length. But I intend to go over there and get that done.
Had that recording, a flower got in front of the lens and messed up the focus on quite a bit of that. But more of the old infamous elm. A lot of this here in the front is split. She may want to split it more, but I tried to put the rounds that wasn't split back here in the back. Jack Carter. Decent pile though. It's dead. It's been dead for a while. Anyways, there's that one. That way she'll have some more for the winter. And we're heading on to the woods to get another load ready. Ready? Yeah. Let's go.
I noticed somebody kind of made a trail just to the side of this big mud pit, so that's what I'm going for. Definitely easier than the other way. All right, let's see what we got here. Ugh. Stinky water, huh? Ugh. Feels good today, don't it? Get it, Dodgy. This is my Macolo that I bought here. The Lombard that you seen at the beginning of this video. So pretty close to the beginning. The guy that owns it is the one who sold me this Macolo here. And he also sold me the Johnson Red. His name's Danny. He made me a video with him. I've got a 24-inch bar. That's the biggest bar I have. I've got a couple of them, but those are the biggest bars I have at 24. I really like to do those 28, maybe even bigger ones. It's 60-some cc, I think the Johnson Red is, if I'm not mistaken. And this one I think is around 59 or something like that. Can't remember exactly. It cuts great though, that little Macolo does. I mean, I definitely like those saws in Macolo. Most of the time in the past, I use steel a lot. That's what I use most of the time. And just like steel now. I'm definitely like steel myself a whole lot. As far as weed eaters go, that's all I use pretty much is steel. But in my opinion, they make the best weed eaters, hands down. For anything I've used anyway, the steel weed eater, I mean, they're great. I've had some commercial ones. I've had a 111 and a 90. I've used the 131. The guy I used to work for, man, them things are powerful. When they throw a branch or something at you, though, they bust you up pretty good. I mean, we used to take the guards off of them. The guy that I worked for, before I started working for myself doing lawn care, the lawn care I worked for, he would take the guards off because we would do horse farms, and if you didn't take the guard off, we would do fences, plank fences. You'd have to climb over to the other side and do it as well. So you'd have to do twice as much walking pretty much. And you don't want to do that when you're already walking mile upon mile upon mile. That one, there's a Derby horse farm called Spendthrift in Lexington. There's probably quite a bit of people familiar with it, really, if they're into horses. And I think it was over 1,400 acres, that farm. I mean, it was huge. And I remember I was on the farm crew. We would mow, once a week we would go out there and we would mow half of it. And we'd eat half of it. But I think every Wednesday, every crew would go out there at the same time. So we would go out there, and then all the other crews as well, who were residential crews, they would come out there and do it with us. So we would have about 4 crews doing it at the same time, and that's what it took to just get half of that done. You know, we would do it one day by ourselves, our crew would all day, and then we would go out there all day with all of the other crews, and we would get half of it done, and then the next week we would do the other half. It was a lot of weed eating there. But man, I got a lot of good experience from that place. I really did. Didn't even hardly know how to use a weed eater. I mean, I knew, but not like I thought I did. Now I'm very comfortable with one of those and a zero turn as well. So that experience really helped me out a whole lot. But steels, that's what really got me on steel, was working there.
We got some of the rounds here. As you can see, I got them on the side of this logging road. And the reason why I did something that is going to cost me a little bit of time here. And I left my axe and my maul. I said in another video I never bring them all with me. Forgive me, because that was a lie. I've got that monster maul in there, that one that's all steel, the handle and everything welded together. And I have that in there with me pretty much every time I come. And it just lays in the back. I just never hardly use it. But the other day when I was at home, I took it out and my Fiskars, Excalibur. And he's perching in the building. And then the maul, I was using it to hit some posts to get out of the ground. Because those things are tough, those mauls, those big ones. And so I put all these on the side of the road here. My mom lives right down the road. I was going to go down there and have to see if they got an axe, or either that or drive a little farther away to get to my home to get my axes. And I really don't want to do that. She's only about 2 minutes down the road, so I'm going to try to get a hold of her and then go down there and get an axe and come back here and get this stuff split up, loaded, and delivered. All right, since I forgot my axe, I drove down the road, and look at this head here he gave me so I could have it. Now, let's see what it's saying here. It's saying good service, Evansville, something, Evansville good service. I don't know what that means. If somebody put that on there, I'm not sure. Anyways, looks kind of more like a chopper. You can see they had nails and stuff in the head to try to keep it on there. He let me borrow this one. He didn't give me this one. I just actually got rid of one like this. And but actually my favorite one he gave me is this one. He gave this one to me. So the handle I plan to replace, I believe it has a hickory handle on it, but it's taped up there for some reason. It may be cracked a little bit. Not sure what kind it is. I do like that head. Old Harold, like I said, that's what I'm calling the axe, HC Harold. I done broke the maple handle that I put in that first day I used it. I didn't think it would be any good, honestly, that handle. Puts me in the mind of a tomahawk or something, that head. Looks like a tomahawk. I'm gonna call him Tom Tom. Tom Tom. See how Tom Tom split. Hopefully it's on there good.
And you could really tell the difference between these axes here and the Fiskars as far as getting stuck goes. So I've noticed that before. The Fiskars, where it's got like sort of almost like a wedge head on it, it doesn't get stuck real easy. This one got stuck pretty well, especially in this white oak. And then the double bit, I believe it got stuck even worse. This one actually had more of the splitting profile on it. That single bit, I actually like it quite a bit. It reminds me of a tomahawk, as I said, like one of those Indian tomahawks. That's what it looks like to me, the head on it. But yeah, you can really tell the difference between the two. I could really tell the difference between that and the single bit compared to the Fiskars. They just got the single bit was the worst one really, or the double bit. I'm sorry, was the worst one to use really. It got stuck horribly, and just wasn't the greatest splitter either. I mean, it split. An axe can split. Period. I mean, no matter what axe you have, I believe you can split with it. It's metal hanging on the end of a handle, you know, with a somewhat of a sharp end on it, maybe a very sharp end, even depending on the axe you have. So it's gonna split. But how well does it split? That's
like here.
different altogether.
And
not only how well it splits, but how bad does it get stuck?
Tripods are handy. I used to lay my phone
how
up
comfortable is it to swing?
on rocks and all kinds of
how
stuff.
heavy is it? How much does it? How quick does it wear you out?
Handy.
How well can you do different techniques as far as the flick and things with it? But I do like that axe head quite a bit. But the oak is tough stuff. I mean, you don't realize how bad they get stuck until you use something like this, like an axe that doesn't have a real thick splitting profile. As you can see with this one here, this single bit, I mean, it got stuck quite a bit. The handle was roughed up on pretty much all these axes that I got. As I said, I left mine at home, and both of them. I didn't realize it until I got there. I done had the wood bucked up and everything, and asked Carter to get my axe out of the truck, and it wasn't in there. And then the maul wasn't either. I took both of them out the other day, and I was doing something with the maul. It's what they call a monster maul, and I was using it to hit a fence post to try to loosen it up, because those monster mauls are tough and they're very heavy. And I never did put it back in there. And then my Fiskars was hanging on the wall, old Excalibur, so still perching. Got to take a break. But so when I got this one from him, it had a big chunk out of the handle, right beneath the head. I mean, a big chunk on one side. And then the other axe, the single bit, it was taped up already, so I'm guessing it was kind of split, maybe the handle a little bit. And then he gave me that double bit head too, and which I plan to hang pretty soon probably. Which it as well doesn't look like much of a splitter. Both of the double bit heads that I have, neither one of them look much like a splitter. And I've heard some people say before, like, that double bit axe is split better than single bits, and maybe some people believe vice versa. I don't really see how either one would really be much better than the other. I think it's more of the profile of the head itself, because I've had some double bits that are horrible splitters and some single bits that wasn't that great either. Used them. And then I've had, some that was a lot better than others, but I think it's just the profile of the axe that you have, and then the weight as well of the head. I myself, I like a heavier head, really. I like something that can generate some power. Of course, the lighter ones are easier to swing, and you can be more accurate with them and stuff to a certain extent. But I myself, I like something that generates power, especially for this oak and stuff that I do. The white oak is not easy stuff to split a lot of times. It's not, especially when it's knotty, and just about all of it that I get seems to be pretty knotty. Now the red is pretty easy to split as long as it's not knotty. If it's got knots, it's actually pretty tough too. It can be, but when it's most of the time the red it's so much easier than the white to split. I don't believe I've ever seen any black oak here. I've probably seen it but didn't recognize it for what it was. But if I'm not mistaken, in the book that I was reading, we are supposed to have some black oak around here as well. There was another one, pin oak. So I don't know if I've done that either. I believe I have split hickory before and didn't realize what it was when I did it because I remember that bark looking kind of like the shag bark hickory. And I remember it seems like when I cut it with my chainsaw, it was like it was even harder for my chainsaw to cut if I'm not mistaken. I think that was hickory, but I could be wrong. There was a guy I delivered to one day though. Him and his wife had come here to Kentucky and they were staying at a cabin. And he was asking me about what kind of maple trees we had here and stuff. He said, "What are those maple trees that you have with those big yellow leaves on them?" And I think he said, because I believe it's fall time, but I'm not sure what state he was from. He's telling me, but it may have been Michigan, but he was saying they had something that they called iron bark or something where he lived, and I'm not sure what kind of tree it was, but I think he said sometimes whenever you would cut it with your chainsaw, your chain would spark. Actually, the bark was so tough on that, and I couldn't imagine cutting something like that. You would think that would ruin a good chain really fast if it's that bad. I think he said they call it iron bark or something. I'm not sure what kind of tree that is. If anybody is familiar with that, if you don't mind, comment and let me know if you know what that would be, because I'm very interested. I remember I think he told me, but I just can't remember. And he was a really friendly guy. Him and his wife, that night actually, after I delivered to him that night, they sent me a text message, and it was a picture of both of them sitting out by a fire, and I think they said thank you for helping make this night better or something like that, and that made me feel good. Actually, when I delivered to them too, I took my GPS led me to a wrong place, and I went down, I mean, a horrible road, probably the worst road I've ever went down in my life. And I had a F-150 at that time. I had my Dodge, but my Dodge was down at the moment. So I was using the F-150 all year that year, pretty much. A 1997 Ford F-150 that I gave about $200 for, which is very cheap. 4-wheel drive, had a 4.6 V8 engine in it. I got a really good deal on it, really. Carter was with me too. It led us down this road. Oh man, this road was bad. I mean, it had some deep ruts. The road went through creeks too. We went through probably, I would say, 8 to 10 different creeks. I mean, it may have been the same creek just winding around, but we crossed it probably 8 to 10 times. And there were some big, deep ruts, and I mean, really rocky roads. Like some of the rocks we were going down so low in some of them ruts that the rocks were hitting the bottom of my truck. I was worried that I was going to end up doing some damage to my radiator or something. And we went miles down that road only to figure out that I'd went the wrong way. The GPS led me the wrong way. And I think I ended up having to call the people and ask them and tell them, like, well, I passed you up or something because I went the wrong way, and somehow I got way away from here. And it was around, I remember it was around actually just a year ago from now, close to probably exactly that if I'm not mistaken. Unless it was the year before, I think it was last though. But I remember, I think it was Halloween night, because I remember me and Carter was both kind of talking about that, thinking like the road we was on, thinking what if we get out here on this road and these people are killers or something way out here, because it's just sketchy going this far out. I mean, it was pretty spooky, really, where we was at. We was deep into the woods, miles and miles back, and my phone lost service, if I'm not mistaken, on that road. Yeah, my phone had no service whatsoever until I got back out of there. So it was a little spooky. It really was. And it being Halloween, I think it was Halloween night, if I'm not mistaken. So it was, I wouldn't want to have to do something like that again, honestly. The road was rough and everything.
More of a chopper for sure.
It just wasn't a very fun experience.
Gets stuck really bad. Fish screw splits twice as good as this. Probably a real good chopper though. It splits, it just not the greatest splitter.
Yeah, this white oak is some tough stuff for sure. That axe was just, honestly, it just wasn't much of a splitter either. As I was saying before though, I don't know really how I feel about which one's better with the single bit or double bit as far as splitting goes. Like I said, I think it just depends on the particular axe myself. I'll tell you one thing I do like about a double bit is they feel very balanced when you're swinging them. And a single bit, I like how it feels as well though. I mean, I really like, they both have their advantages in my opinion. I really like how a single bit feels as well, but a double bit does feel balanced. Just because of that head, it is balanced. Uh, I'd really like to get me a big heavy double bit though, and see how that does. I reached out to Fiskars before and asked them. Like I was so interested, and I actually messaged them on their website and asked them if they had thought about making a double bit Fiskars, because I'd really love to have one if they ever do that. I don't know why they haven't done that already, to be honest, because as popular as their splitting axe seems to be, you would think that they would make a double bit as well. But that may never happen. I don't know why it wouldn't, though. Honestly, I don't know why it wouldn't. Fiskars seem to make some good tools, not just axes, other things as well. But if they do ever end up making a double bit, I'd be very, very interested in that. I'll tell you one thing, another thing too, I found out about some of those handles that I get from that Peddler's Mall. I mean, some of them seem like great ones, and I had a feeling about it when I bought it, but the one that looked like spalted maple, that thing was, man, it was horrible. It was very, very weak. I mean, and it felt very, very light too when I held it. I think I even said in one of my previous videos that I didn't know how well it would hold up, and that I really wanted it to be more of a wall hanger, and that's what I intended to do with it, was use it as a wall hanger because I liked how it looked. But after hanging the axe head upside down the way that I did, I ended up having to cut that handle off, or maybe I didn't have to, but I was having trouble getting it off when I tried, so I just went ahead and cut it off of there, because I only think I gave around $6.99 for it. And then I went ahead and hung the only other single bit that I had at the time, which was that spalted maple one, and it didn't even last the whole day. I mean, it was awful. It was just very, very weak. Which, like I said, as light as it was and stuff, and just how it felt too, I didn't think it would be the greatest axe handle. I do intend to get more from there though, because I have used them in the past, and some of them seem to do very well. I think it just depends on which one you get. I'll maybe try to buy some axes that are already made from there as well, just to maybe if I see some good heads there. I found some really good ones on YouTube, on eBay, that I may try to get later.
It does. This one, the profile, it's not there. It's not the best splitting axe. I had a guy the other day comment on one of the videos. I think it was the one where I was splitting elm. And I've got very little negative feedback. This guy blocked instantly, pretty much, after I read his comment. It was just very childish and very negative, and it was clearly meant to be negative. So I just blocked the guy from the channel, or whatever the option is that you pick for that. I think I've done it twice now. I do it very little, and I didn't have to do it at all, but that's the method I'm going to choose. I won't even tolerate that stuff, you know, when it's just meant to be negative. I won't even tolerate that. I'll just get rid of it. But he was talking about mulberry. I don't think I've ever split that, but he said, yeah, you think that's hard? 3 swings on mulberry and you would give up already. And and just very negative, the stuff he was saying. And it came to my mind just now out of nowhere. But I want to get some mulberry now and try it. I'm curious. We have them around here, so I'd like to try some of them and see how it does. I got most of this split now. I'll tell you one thing, it's a big difference having an axe like this. So, I mean, it really is. I hate that I left my axe at home. My axes.
And I didn't mean to be offensive in any way when I said, when I talked about how I blocked that particular guy that was saying what he said. The comment was just pure negative, really. It was something that was meant to try to make me mad or something like that. And I just have very low tolerance for stuff like that. And just life's too short to deal with that kind of garbage, really. It's what it is. There's some people that are just negative, very negative. I've met them. I mean, some people that you can just be, I'm sure everybody has. Seems like you can just be good as you want to them, but they're just negative people, miserable people. And that's the kind of people I like to avoid myself. I think it's very important who you surround yourself with. Not saying that I think just because somebody's, you know, negative and down on themselves, that's one thing, but people that like to spread negativity and push it and try to bring other people down, That's something that I like to avoid myself. I don't want to be around that. I don't think most people do. There's a piece of red oak. You can tell the bark, the difference. See the bark, how it's kind of almost like grooves, these big grooves that go around the wood, and it's red. That's what really gives it away as red oak. To me, it is red on the inside too, but the bark itself, if you look at that bark up there, see how red that is? The grooves on it, like they're little round grooves that go all the way around. Now the white oak doesn't do that so much. The grooves don't stick up like that so much. It more just kind of clings to the wood, and it doesn't have that red hue to it that this has. It splits so much easier. But man, like I said, it makes a big difference when you have an axe. It ain't the best splitter. I've done it before with a double bit before in the past. It just wasn't much of a splitter, and it's complicated. It makes it so much more complicated than it has to be. That's why I said I'm not trying to overhype the Fiskars. You know, I don't make any money from Fiskars whatsoever. I'm just telling you the truth about it. I heard somebody say before, you know, like that you can't take just one axe with you all the time, but I'd have to beg to differ on that because I did for years, pretty much one axe. You know, Fiskars, and like I said, that monster maul that I had, I'd bring that, and the monster maul I never even really used, unless I forgot my Fiskars. If it had to be one or the other, it'd definitely be the Fiskars for me. But my brother, when he used to go with me, he would use that monster maul, and that's what he preferred, if I'm not mistaken. Which back then I think I may have not have had a Fiskars at that time. It may have been a double bit that I had. Because there was 1 year or so to where I didn't, not the whole year anyways, I didn't have the Fiskars. But for 4 years now I've been using them altogether. Over the last 4 years. There may have been 1 year in that time period that I didn't have the Fiskars the whole time. Because I've traded one before that I had when it turned summer, if I'm not mistaken, because I didn't really need it, and I knew I could go get another one before winter. So I traded one in the past, but I mean they're just great tools. That's all there is to it. They really figured it out with that design on the Fiskars. Everything about it, the handle, the head. The head doesn't stick very easy at all. It really doesn't. It's easy to get out even if it does stick. Usually it is. It splits very well. The edge, it holds an edge pretty good on it. I mean, I have it sharp, the one I'm using right now, for probably over a year, and it still splits great. It's a well balanced axe. It feels good in your hands. The handle's long, so you can generate a lot of power. I mean, I just have a lot of good to say about that axe. It's just a great axe. I love it.
Yeah.
Honestly, of all the axes I've ever used in my lifetime, which isn't a whole lot. Like I watch some of these other guys, and they don't tell how many they've used and made and stuff. I think I talked to a guy the other day, and I can't remember. I think he said he had, I can't remember how many he said he had. It may have been 80 or 200 that he had. I think he said he had 200 around his house or something like that. Said he had them in his house and in the building and everything. Really, very friendly guy. And I was talking to him on the comments, but I mean, that's a lot of axes. That's somebody that's experienced, you know. But for me personally, the best one I've ever used as far as splitting goes is the Fiskars, without a doubt. Not at all trying to say there's not other axes out there that aren't much better than it even. I just haven't used one yet. I enjoy watching people split, and I enjoy using different axes. I do, but when they work well, I do. If they don't work well, I don't enjoy it very much. It's like a chainsaw. If I get a chainsaw and the chainsaw doesn't work very well, I'm not going to enjoy using it very much. Or any tool for that matter, really. If it doesn't do its job very well, I'm not too interested in using it. So the Fiskars, it doesn't let me down. But as I said earlier, like I heard someone say before, that you can't take one axe with you. Well, I have, you know, and not for personal use, I have for business use. I mean, for running a firewood business, I've taken one axe, other than the maul, and I used that one axe for probably 90% of the work I did. And so I was able to get, there was never any wood I came across that I couldn't split with it, I don't believe. And I've done some pretty hard stuff. Elm and sycamore being the worst, the hardest, by far. And if you haven't ever done either one of those and you get a chance and you like hand splitting, try one just to see what it's like. Just try one and see and just see how bad it is. Sycamore, when it's green, it's horrible. if I'm not mistaken, that's when it's really bad, is when it's green. Because I remember now, at the place that I lived at before, I didn't have a place to really store a whole lot of wood. I stored it there. I mean, I had palletfuls of it in my backyard, but not as much space as I have where I'm at now. Now I have about 2.5 acres. But so I ended up, the sycamore was so bad. I mean, the limb wood was so bad. I would get that monster maul, which I think is 15 or 18 pounds, if I'm not mistaken, and hit it hard as I could, and on limb wood, and it would bounce off of that limb wood again and again and again. And finally, I just loaded it up on my trailer and took it all off and dumped it out in the country on the side of the road, kind of in the woods. And I remember it. I think the following year, I remembered that wood and went back and picked it all up and split it, and it split so much easier after that. It's just not very good wood either, from what I hear. The BTUs aren't too great on it. Sycamore is definitely not something that's very good for firewood. Very, very, very heavy stuff, too. I mean, it feels like, if you've never dealt with sycamore, it's every bit as dense and heavy as oak, I would say, probably. If not even maybe a little more. I mean, it is some solid, heavy stuff. Around here, probably it and oak are probably the heaviest, most solid that I've came across, as far as how heavy the wood is itself, like one round of it. Sycamore is, in my opinion, is probably right there with oak. But splitting it is way worse than oak. And honestly, in my opinion, I've done the elm too, and elm is horrible. It's horrible. But sycamore is worse. It's worse. And not only that, well, the sycamore though that I did, it was green. I haven't done green elm really, because the elm that I did was pretty dead. It had been dead for quite a while. So I mean, if elm is worse green, which I'm guessing it is, I couldn't imagine how bad it would be. It and sycamore would probably be pretty close. I'm not exaggerating about sycamore. And as I said before, I've said this in many different vehicles. It's hard not to think about it when you think about how hard that stuff is to split, but how that they used it as butcher blocks. That's what sycamore, they would use it as butcher blocks, and you can definitely see why, because you can hit it so many times and it just doesn't split. So, you know, they would butcher things on it, and it wouldn't split. And so they figured that out, and that's what they used it for. You butcher something on the oak, you hit it right a few times, you're going to split the wood, or many other wood you're going to split, but that sycamore, there's no telling how many times they could hit that and without it splitting when it's green. I mean, there's no telling how long those would have lasted. Butcher block is definitely a good role for the sycamore. A perfect fit for it, really. It is some bad stuff. I think, as I said before, one of the easiest I've ever split is walnut. Walnut splits great. Here we are loading the wood. I like to smell the different types of woods too. I mean, some of them smell really good, and some of them actually stink. It's like they all have their own distinct smell. Oak smells pretty good in my opinion, which red and white kind of differ. But walnut's great to split. I think walnut's probably easier than pine. It's so straight grain, and it's just like, once you split through the surface of it and penetrate the wood, it's like it just splits. Some wood, you know, like oak and stuff, they'll try to hold on. The fibers will hold them, but walnuts, like, as soon as you penetrate, pretty much, most of the time it just splits, and it splits so easily. Pine splits easy as well. Pine, when it's really knotted, is pretty bad though. I've had some knotted pine, and it's horrible. When it's knotted, it's awful. Walnut's some beautiful wood too on the inside. It's got like a purplish hue to it, the kind I've done around here. I'm not sure what that would be called, if that's black walnut or what, but it's some beautiful wood. I'm nearing the end of the video here, it looks like. Once again, I'm here at home, and it's getting close to 1 o'clock in the morning while I'm editing this video, but it's coming to an end here soon, so